What are Glorious Augusta's biggest pros and cons? That's what I'm here to tell you today. My name is Juice, and let's get into it. The most obvious one in my opinion is that she is currently the best Electro DPS in the game, and this is mostly relevant for people that are trying to cover numerous types of attributes so that they don't get their account countered by a specific type of attribute resistance, in which case Augusta is an excellent choice if you're looking for a good Electro character. In fact, she is basically the de facto Electro character if you're looking to have a meta Electro character on your account. Unfortunately, Kalcharo just isn't really that good, and Shangli Yao, while he is still a solid DPS, he unfortunately just isn't anywhere near as good as modern DPSs these days, and compared to Augusta, yeah, he's really not too great. So Augusta is all around the best possible choice that you can make in terms of an Electro DPS if you're interested in having one. She is very, very strong, and she is all around just a very strong DPS in general. If you're looking for a powerful hypercarry regardless of attributes, then Augusta still ends up being a really good choice. She is a fantastic hypercarry right now, and all around you can't really go wrong when getting her. Another thing that I should mention is that she is very budget friendly. This is because you can easily skip her premium 5-star teammate Yuno, unlike some other 5-stars that are more dependent on their best installed second slot teammate, and use Mortefi instead. Her performance with Mortefi is honestly quite nice, and if you're somebody that does want to go the extra kilometer and invest into her, then getting Yuno isn't necessarily a bad upgrade. It's just not a necessary one, because using Mortefi is simply very powerful, and because of that, she ends up feeling very accessible, because you can pull for an Augusta, her signature weapon, and there you go. Assuming that you have at least one copy of Mortefi, you've got yourself a complete and powerful hypercarry that is easily going to be able to take on the hardest content in the game, those being the middle tower stages 3 and 4, or if you just need a DPS for 1 and 2, that also works too. All around, she is going to be able to compete in the most difficult resetting endgame using very cheap options, and because of that, she all around ends up feeling very accessible, especially to new players and free-to-plays alike. Another thing that I should mention is that Mortefi is able to run Static Mist, which is able to buff up Augusta further. So all around, if you're unable to pull for Yuno during Augusta's rerun because you're going to be running at the same time together, well then that's completely fine, you don't have to worry about it. Augusta is not dependent on Yuno in order to perform, and because of this, you can very safely just pull her if you're looking for a strong DPS, and you are going to be more than just fine. It should also be mentioned that, like any other DPS in this game, Augusta is able to utilize Linny. Basically, every non-negative status character in the game so far has been able to utilize this character and gain either a side grade or an upgrade from her. And considering that Mornier is going to be releasing alongside Augusta's rerun, if you plan to pull for Mornier and Augusta and you happen to have Linny, well then you're going to have the complete Tomb Break core, and you're also going to be able to use that with Augusta. She all around ends up being really flexible teams-wise, and you just don't need to have her designated support. Or alternatively, if you did pull for Linny, you already have Yuno, and you're interested in getting Augusta, you can simply play DPS Yuno, use Augusta as her own DPS of Mortefi, and then that's your middle tower completely covered. Those two have different attributes as well, so you don't have to worry about resistances or attribute crossover. So all around, you get great bang for your astrites here no matter what way you look at it. Another great feature of Augusta is that she's able to trigger a time stop. This means that the enemy just isn't going to be able to hurt you whatsoever while you're casting her ultimate, and it also just feels really cool to do. But all around, the real benefit of this is that you can't be interrupted and you can freely execute your ultimate without any concerns. This is also just quite a unique thing that only Augusta can currently do for a prolonged period of time, so that's nice. Another thing that should be mentioned is that Augusta's damage is really high in both single target and AoE, so no matter what TOA challenge that stands in front of you, Augusta is going to be an effective choice. Basically, the only situation in which you wouldn't want to use Augusta is if the enemy inherently has really high Electro res. Otherwise, you can just throw Augusta at the challenge and she is going to feel very strong and very competent, no matter whether it's a boss you're facing, or if it's a large group of enemies. Now, waves are a bit of a different story, but I'm gonna get onto that in a moment. You could even say Wuthering Waves, haha. But yes, no matter what type of content you're struggling with, provided it's not wave clear like in Whiwa, which I'm gonna get onto in a bit, then Augusta is going to be perfectly suited for the job. This ends up making her a really versatile DPS. Not only is her damage really high, and not only is she budget friendly, but she's applicable in many different situations. I will say that if you have most of those situations covered, then the value of this isn't as high, but it does end up being nice in the sense that if you really need Electro for a specific stage, or you just really want to use Augusta somewhere, generally speaking, there's going to be very few limitations that prevent Augusta from being good in wherever it is that you want to use her. She's all around going to be a very convenient unit, And she's also quite nice in holograms thanks to things like her Timestop. It should also be mentioned that if you're somebody that cares about soloing holograms, then Augusta's actually a pretty good choice for that. She's actually one of the better options you can go for if that's a main focus of yours. Alas, Augusta does still come with her fair share of issues, which we will be discussing now. The first one that I want to touch on is the one that I was briefly mentioning here and there, the fact that with wave clear, especially in Whimpering Wastes, she's not the best. Now, I won't say that she is completely terrible there. It's more that you're not really making the most out of her kit, and you're not really making the most out of Augusta, and there are better options that you could be using in Whimpering Wastes, and it's simply due to how Augusta's kit was handled. For instance, one thing that Augusta is backloaded. A lot of her damage is within her second ultimate, like a lot of it. And this makes her quite a backloaded character, which just isn't the greatest when you're trying to take out waves of enemies in Whimpering Wastes, because not only is big nukes not really what you want to do in WuWa, you prefer sustained damage over time to take out the trash mob waves, but backloaded characters generally just don't really feel that comfortable to play in Whimpering Wastes. Consider Jinchi, for example. She's another character that in my opinion feels very awkward to play in WuWa. Another thing to note with Augusta in WuWa is that you can't really just go at it willy-nilly. There needs to be some planning in mind because of her Timestop. This is because whenever you kill a wave, her Timestop is going to prevent the next wave from spawning, so without proper timing, you could end up wasting her entire nuke on basically nothing. This is what leads to her being a somewhat awkward option for Whimpering Wastes. Now, like I said, she is not an unusable option there. You can still definitely clear with her, but she is not going to be the most comfortable option, nor is she going to be the best option. I would say Augusta is definitely more of a consideration for TOA, but even so, don't worry, you can still use her in WuWa, it's just not going to be optimal. Another thing that I should mention is that her shields are absolute rubbish. They don't provide her with any interruption resistance, and they basically only exist for the sheer purpose of proccing her specific tailor-made gear. Otherwise, her shields may as well not exist. They could genuinely remove Augusta's shields from her kit, and the core of her gameplay basically wouldn't change. It is just for her gear. Now, this isn't really a deal breaker or anything like that, it's more just something that I should point out. You shouldn't really expect her shields to give her any extra survivability, because generally, with a character like Brant Wuthering Waves for instance, he deals a crud ton of damage, but he sustains himself throughout his rotation. Same thing with Yuno. Those characters heal themselves during their natural rotation. So because of that, the fact that they can heal and the fact that Brant Wuthering Waves can shield with his Forte skill is actually something of relevance, because it can actually be quite nice and quite comfortable. However, in Augusta's case, it's not really something that you should pay attention to, which is why I believe it was worth mentioning at all. And this final point that I'm going to mention isn't really going to be relevant to everyone, because I'm gonna say this. It depends on what you want out of your Wuthering Waves unit, and I feel like if you're a really big fan of the hypercarry playstyle, Augusta provides that in spades. She is a fantastic hypercarry, and she 100% scratches that itch of a very powerful on-field character that does the majority of the heavy lifting. However, if you're a big Quickswap fan, now while it's not impossible on Augusta, you can manage some quickswapping with her. It is a lot harder to force on her compared to other units. The way that this unit was designed is just not conducive to quickswapping. Her outro skills effects do not encourage quickswap, and all around, this unit's gameplay design is just not conducive to that playstyle. Whenever you're in her ultimate, she is the only character on field, and she is the only one doing damage. You're not able to swap on other teammates during her second ultimate. So because of this, if you're a really big Quickswap fan and that's your favorite playstyle, maybe Augusta is not the character for you, and this is a flaw that has been prevalent with her since release. And to be honest, I don't think that it's ever going to change. Augusta's gameplay design, inherently speaking, is that of a pure, cold, hard hypercarry. Or I suppose I should say a warm hypercarry, because she's like a very fiery electricity character, but you know what I mean. All around, I don't recommend her if you're looking to quickswap. Though I feel like since this is Augusta's rerun, most people at this point are familiar with Augusta's playstyle. I feel like this is more so something that newer players have to learn. After all, WuWa 3.0 has probably introduced many new players to the game, and if you are new to the game, well then first of all, welcome to Wuthering Waves, and second of all, Augusta is definitely an excellent beginner character. I should say that now because she is so good with characters like Mortefi, who is literally a 4-star, but if you're interested in quickswapping, then Augusta might not be the optimal choice for you. She is very much a hypercarry, and like I said, You can do it, it is possible, it's just a lot harder to force it on Augusta compared to characters that have much more natural swap windows. So unfortunately, if you're getting Augusta, expect her gameplay to be relatively straightforward. It is very dynamic gameplay, it is very interesting and exciting gameplay, just don't expect it to mesh well with Quickswap in specific. Hopefully this video was able to tell you Augusta's biggest pros and cons. This has been Juice, signing out, and we'll see if they release another Electro DPS before next freaking year. It took ages after Shang Liao for us to get another Electro DPS, bro.